All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of LearnBiz, the podcast. I am Sandy B. Law, and I am here with the always lovely Lisa K. Crawford. Good morning, Lisa.
Well, good morning, Sandy B. I'm doing just great this morning. It's another beautiful day in paradise.
I mean, I don't know where you at. It ain't that beautiful over here. It look like a little bit on the gray side. I feel like I'm back in Michigan, and those days were shoot. That's the
Yeah,
height of grayness.
that's true, Sandy. But sometimes you got to have that paradise on it from the inside out and go from there.
Look, I'm glad that I take a lot of pictures because I have plenty that I can refer to. So I truly understand what you're saying. Oh, sorry, I'm dropping stuff. All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. So we are chatting a little bit today about what has been your greatest challenge in 2022. And the reason we wanted to have this chat is because we're winding down. We're at the holiday season. We're winding down 2022, getting ready for 2023. If you are an entrepreneur, small business owner, whatever title you want to give yourself, you should be gearing up to prepare yourself for what next year has to come. But that means that you have to take a look and analyze what 2022 provided. Let's see. Good morning, Doug. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. We
Good
always,
morning, Doug.
always appreciate your presence on LearnBiz, the podcast.
Yes.
So I'm going to kick it to you, Lisa, because I know that you and I talk a lot throughout the year, and that's something that I would say any entrepreneur should have people in their lives that are entrepreneurs like themselves, who they can kind of run ideas past, share thoughts and visions and all of those things to help you kind of progress through the year. But what about you, Lisa? What has been your greatest challenge this year?
Wow. And Sandy, ever since we put this question up, it's not something that I really can just come up with an answer in like a second. It really requires some thinking a little bit, but I've had a chance to think about it. And one of the things I would say as far as challenges in 2022, it's felt like a patty cake year. And what I mean by that is like it's almost it's almost it's what you make it in business, like whatever your hustle, your skill, you muster up everything you have and you make a go of business. And for this year, I would say where I need to focus is, I think, maybe defining my target audience a little bit more.
Okay.
um, you know, in real estate and in law, I feel like I have target audiences, like people or maybe groups of people that I could mainly help. For instance, in real estate, I'm focusing more on the luxury market and people who want to live close to the beach, who want to live on the beach, who want to live on in waterfront properties because they have boats and they may want to go out and get in their car, or they may want to go out the back of the house and get on the boat and go to India. I mean, so I try to focus on that market because hey, we're in South Florida, why not? But I think the challenge is to continue to find that audience. They're out there. There's enough business for everybody, but it's always a challenge to find that audience and go get them. So I'm working on it.
Okay.
That would be one thing. And if I could just add, like for law, I would say that kind of like my target audience, it's probably a more mature person. That's who I have worked with over the years, more mature people when it comes to estate planning and probate. And when I mean my more mature audience, I'm thinking about folks who are probably closer to 40s, 50s, and on up. Whereas one of the challenges that I have is trying to appeal to a much younger audience. Like, I'd like to have a lot of clients who are in their 30s who are doing estate planning and see the value of it before something tragic happens. So that's what I'm working on. I think they're good challenges, but nevertheless, they are challenges from my past year and probably things I will have to continue to work on.
Absolutely. I can feel those challenges. Doug said, second to owning my own island, I want beachfront property. I have
Right?
always wanted to have a place by the beach. I think what's deterred me here in South Florida is the fact that everything is high rise, and I'm really not a fan of high rise. I'm a fan of single family, single story. I'm a fan of maybe a townhome type thing by the ocean, but and even now I kind of feel concerned about being directly on the ocean because of what's, the erosion of, the coast, and the way that these storms continue to impact the coast. um it kind of bothers me a
Exactly.
bit, but I still, that's in the back of my mind. If I really could find something that fits the parameters of, low story or single story, single family, or just maybe a multi-unit that maybe only has a few units, that would be really, really appealing to me. But I digress.
That sounds really, really good. It really does. And I'm going to share something really quickly. I was talking to an attorney colleague up a little bit north of Fort Myers, and she said before Hurricane Ian hit, what she did traditionally, like her husband and her, they have a boat. They have two children. They go out in the boat, and there's a little island somewhere up that way, and her husband would drop her off on the island. She'd have her bag, which would be her books, whatever she's reading, her sunscreen, and her, her beverages. And she would chill on this little island, nobody else, and her children and husband would run off and go fishing out there in the water and leave her alone. And she said it was her private island. And things really got messed up, of course, after Hurricane Ian.
Wow. Well, I mean, there's always hope. We might see some changes as times goes forward, but with the high rise domination down here in particular, I don't feel very hopeful about beachside living. Maybe more upper, central or northern Florida. Maybe that might be my hope.
Well, I can tell you, as long as they sell property insurance, there will be people who will invest in South Florida and coastal Florida as long as they sell property insurance. And so right now, they're still selling property insurance. So I'm still out here in this market. It's still viable.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it. All right. So, what's been my greatest challenge in 2022? I think fully embracing outsourcing. That has been something that I've gradually worked through this year, because I decided for myself that in order for my business to take some turns in the positive direction so that I can be able to scale, I have to take certain things off of my list. And much of that has to be the administrative piece.
Hmm.
So in current day, of course, I have a paralegal that assists me in, pushing through specifically a lot of my probate cases. I'm still looking for somebody for guardianship and my estate planning aspect to help me on the administrative and paralegal type work.
Hmm.
Um, but when it comes to the core basics, I have a service that deals with all of my calls, and, they can kind of filter through, because, as attorneys, we tend to get a lot of stuff in our inbox. We get a lot of stuff in our email. We get a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
stuff in, voice messages. And the less time that I can spend on the phone, the more time I have to spend on actual work. Because if I'm on the phone, I'm not working on your case.
That's
Like
true.
that, like that's facts.
Yeah.
If I'm filtering through emails, I'm not working on your case. For me to be working on your case, I can't be dealing with those things. And it was a challenge to start out with. I was reluctant because there is a cost associated with it. And there's also letting go of certain responsibility and giving someone those things without restriction, right? Like, you got to be able to let it go. Um, and I've just found that to be extremely difficult, because my imagery of entrepreneurship for many, many years has always been this, grinding all the time, and I sleep later, and hustle, and that's just the most false impression of entrepreneurship that I've ever seen. Like, when I'm really like digesting it now, I recognize that we've been lied to when it comes to being an entrepreneur. Because one of the main things that you have to notice about folks who have multi-million or billion-dollar businesses is they're not doing everything. They have a
No,
team,
of course, yes.
and they have very key members of their team that handle key issues. So in many ways, they're like the chief officer,
Right.
whether it be over operations or the, executive decisions and stuff like that. But realistically speaking, they are not the workhorse of their business.
Absolutely. They're the coup and the CEO, right? The chief operating officer and the CEO. And in a lot of cases, they're managing. And
Correct.
that's what a lot of entrepreneurs do well. They manage
And even
processes.
what's funny, even the management piece, I'm starting to see more and more people have executives in position like office managers
I like
or
that.
people who are making operational decisions, obviously consulting with, head honcho, but um you can't fully grow out a business and
Right.
be fully successful if you don't have some systems that operate outside of you. And I'm not
True.
saying that you can't be a one man operation, you can, but you have to have tools and resources that step in. So if you are, let's say you're a solo attorney, it's ideal for you to have a paralegal, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a physical person in an office.
Right.
It's ideal for you to have a receptionist or receptionist service. It's ideal for you to have systems in place so that people can register for a consultation or sign up for, one-on-one conversation with you without having to talk to you.
True.
So that's to me the biggest challenge. And I think when I look at entrepreneurs, all over the United States and the things that we see on social media, I think the one thing that's missing is many people don't focus as much on the challenges. They give people this rosy image of entrepreneurship as if everybody's driving, S-class Benzes, and it just doesn't make any sense.
That's true. I mean, of course, there are a lot of people, they have to fake it till they make it, so to speak, because you have to look successful. You have to look the part a lot of times before people will give you the time of day and give you the business. So I can understand, faking the part until you make it from that point of view, but I think sometimes, like you're alluding to, people go too far with that, and that becomes their total aim, is just looking a certain way, irrespective of what's really going on behind the scenes.
Right, because you said fake it till you make it, right? Well, a
Yes.
lot of people are faking it like they made it. So,
Ah,
it's not really the greatest place to be in, because you give people an impression, but when you start to really digest what's going on entrepreneurship wise, and you talk to certain people in your life and you really know what's going on, you realize there's a lot of people out here just being fraudulent.
true.
That's it. They're being fraudulent, and they're not really doing the things that need to be done. So it's, it's just one of those things, and you just have to find a way in order for you to be focused on what you need to do, because if you're not focused on what you need to do, it's going to be a problematic situation. So Doug says that's what I'm working on: self-employed and looking to scale my business, hopefully next year as I expand.
That's
So
awesome.
um I think it's very good for, you know, you have to have a goal of scaling. That's the ultimate thing. You have to have a goal of scaling. And if you don't have a goal of scaling, it's like, what are you doing business for?
And before you can think about scaling your business, you really don't, you have to visualize that. You have to really say, I'm here today, next year I want to be here, and begin to build the business that way, right?
Got to.
You really, you have to do it that way, and it takes planning. And sometimes when it's just you, then you realize that, okay, well, next year if I'm going to have twice the business, or three times the territory that I'm going to cover, then it's got to be me and a few other people. Um, and I read somewhere, Sandy, that we as entrepreneurs should not be afraid to ask someone to kind of volunteer, help us while we're building our business, and realizing that we intend to look out for them when things get a little bit better. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I think there's a lot of evaluation that has to go on. That's my thing. There's a lot of evaluation that has to constantly go on in order for us to be able to do the things that we want to do, and have a plan. That's
That's true.
you got to have a plan.
So we want to ask you, our audience, and we definitely thank Doug for sharing with us about his business endeavors and for being of support. And we want to be of support to you too, Doug. So the question is, what has been your greatest challenge in 2022? And like we're talking about, you got to know where you are before you know where you're going and how to get there. So we have faced challenges along the way, and I'm sure there's at least one challenge that you've had in 22 that you can say has been your greatest challenge in business. What is that for you? For me, I think it comes down to marketing and becoming more and more proficient with marketing my businesses. That's what I feel is one of my greatest challenges to this day. And I will tell you that it didn't just start this year as a challenge. It's been something I've been working on continuously, but it's still challenging, very challenging.
Yeah, and I think as we go into 2023, we have to be very clear about the fact that if we haven't accomplished certain things, if we have a list of goals that we have for ourselves in business and we have not accomplished those goals, we got to ask ourselves what's getting in the way. Like, what's getting in our way? Because sometimes what's getting in our way is us.
True.
It's not the outside factors, it's not the outside people, it's not, all of those things. It's, I want to get something done, but how much am I willing to do to get it done?
That
And
is so true.
and what's interfering with me actually stepping forward and making that happen. All right, so let's see here. I got some comments I'm missing here. Doug says, I have to restructure everything to implement systems, moving along slow, but hopefully we'll get there. And yes, you will, Doug.
Yes,
I'm
you
very
will.
confident of that. Good
Yep.
morning, Rigo. We always appreciate you tuning in. Thank you
Good
kindly,
morning,
kindly.
Rigo. Yes, absolutely.
Doug says 2022 has been the most challenging. I've had to deal with situations out of my control, clients' deaths and divorces, and working around it. Now, this is very interesting that you mentioned, Doug, because dealing with situations out of our control can be something that really can create a level of stress in an entrepreneur that kind of makes you question, do I really want to deal with this sometimes? And it's like,
Wow.
you know, we have to be in the same manner that we are in our lives out of control of certain things. And we understand that many things are not going to be directed by us. I think sometimes we forget that that also carries over in business, because I can have all the aspirations in the world of what I want to do and how I want to do it, but life is really going to take its toll. And so, as an example, if a client passes away, or if there's a divorce, or these real life situations, it's almost like, okay, how do I continue business as usual? Because these are
Hmm.
things that take a toll on self. They take
That's
a
true.
they take a heavy toll on self. How do you get around that and continue to operate in business? And I think part of that answer is, there is no one answer. It's, you have to find what works for you. And you also sometimes have to take a little moment to disconnect and regroup. But how do you do that if you don't have the necessary systems and processes so your business can operate outside of you?
Absolutely. And I understand where Doug is coming from on that as well,
Right.
because technically, in real estate, ideally, I want a new contract in hand every 30 days, easily. I mean, I love
Right.
to have five in hand every 30 days, but at least one every 30 days, right? But
Yeah.
how do you get that? You have to work 30, 60, 90 days prior to that to get the 30-day contract in hand every day. You
Right.
know what I mean? So the work is continuous and it's pipeline stuff. You
Gotcha.
have to build a pipeline so that when one falls, that you can tap into some other resource. And I know it's easier said than done, but
Facts.
these are our challenges.
So let me go to Miss Jennifer, my girl Jen. My challenge is putting more time into my business instead of more into my 9 to 5. Now, this is an interesting point, because so many times entrepreneurs don't begin outright like I'm just jumping in. Like they're not jumping in feet first. They kind of dipping their toe in, right? And
Right.
feeling the water with their hands because you have to sustain yourself. And what
True.
better way to sustain yourself than your 9 to 5? But the catch is when your 9 to 5 is dominating. When I was working for a firm or even working, in the workforce, it was extremely challenging to do anything after hours because you're just so drained from your regular day job that by the time you're done with that, it's like, how am I supposed to get anything done? And Jen, we got an answer for this. We're going to talk about this in one brief moment. So hold that thought because there's a project that we literally just finalized and we're going to talk about it before we wrap this stream. But one of the things is there has to be a daily touch on your business.
True.
There has to be. And it doesn't have to be lengthy. We're talking a couple minutes. We're talking about half hour. We're talking an hour. We're talking spreading out larger tasks into very workable small tasks. And I'm going to give you a personal example. Lisa and I, this LearnBiz, the podcast, and LearnBiz LLC, which is our side hustle, is part of our day. But understand that both Lisa and I have very active day jobs in terms of our law firm practices. Lisa is also a real estate broker associate, so that dominates a great deal of her time. I have a book project that I just dropped that really took a lot of my time. And I also have another entity that I deal with that I'm trying to get out there and promote. So we each have at least 3 or 4 things on our plate that we're trying to juggle all at the same time. And the only reason that we've been able to sustain LearnBiz, the podcast, and LearnBiz LLC is because we're constantly trying to chip away when we have just a pocket. Because sometimes Lisa will call me and be like, let's do this for 30 minutes. Let's do this for an hour. All right. I know, we didn't get to do this yesterday because we'll be like, all right, we're going to do this tonight. And we both are like, look, nah, we're not doing this tonight, but we're going to get up early tomorrow morning. It's going to be like 7 o'clock. We're going to get it done. So
yes, Sandy, that was before I realized that I couldn't get started at like 10 o'clock. I'm like, nah, let's start this meeting at 10 o'clock. I got a full day. I'll be ready at 10. I'll be fresh and ready to go.
Let me tell y'all something
10
about
p.m.,
Lisa.
guys, I was thinking.
Let me tell y'all something about Lisa. I wish I could have the bloopers and play this sucker for y'all. Lisa and I used to try to do stuff real late night. And one night in particular, we're on a Zoom call. We're finalizing a layout of something. And you know what Lisa did to me? Lisa put the curtains down. Lisa went off camera for a moment. And we having a full out conversation, y'all. Lisa went off camera for a moment and it was curtains. It was over. I was dying laughing because all I could hear was sleep. And that's when we knew we would no longer do late night stuff. But what we did do is we found there was a sweet spot in the morning that we both can really be very productive. And we've chipped away at a lot of small things. So if you look at our channel, you'll see that there's a lot of things happening in the early morning. But beyond that, we also chip away during the week and we just say, all right, what's your availability this week? All right, we can chip out like an hour here, maybe 30 minutes, maybe 2 hours here.
And Jennifer, these are things to work on your business, of course. So,
Correct.
Little things that help you get farther down the road and it's measurable. And if there's something about taking pen to paper, guys.
Yes.
When you're writing down these thoughts on paper, I did not realize the power of writing your thoughts on paper.
Yes. And Jen also adds, how about having your own health situation? I can testify to this too. I had a serious period of time where I was trying to manage side hustle. I was trying to deal with 9 to 5, and I started to have migraine headaches. And when I say migraine headaches, I've never had migraine headaches in life aside from when I was taking the bar exam. So when I started to have these headaches again in work life, it was like, oh, we have to reevaluate, because what we can't do is allow ourselves to damage our health, because no health means no side business, no main business, no Sandy.
Right.
So, Lisa and I talk about this all the time. It's like, I'm not about to be 10 feet under and everybody else gonna be leaning over like, I don't know what happened to Sandy. Nah, what happened to Sandy? She's about to take a vacation. She's about to take a break. She's about to take a few hours off. She's about to sleep for the day. Whatever it needs to be, because I have to make sure that I don't jeopardize my existence just for the sake of what? Money? That's not coming with me?
Running a business, you can't take it
No,
with you.
no.
Those good points that you're pointing out here, Jennifer. I appreciate your thoughts and bringing health into the picture. So we would like you to continue to massage the question, what has been your greatest challenge in 2022? It's
Okay.
very reflective. You have to think about it. If you're like me, you have to think about it a little bit. But it's a great exercise to really think about it, because it will, if you answer that question, it will actually help you define what you need to be doing in 2020. Did I say 2023? In 2022, yeah. But it will help you define what you need to be doing in 2023.
Wow, Rigo is getting personal with us, and we appreciate you, Rigo. He says, for me, it was devastating news that I have prostate cancer and living through it, and I am regrouping for a comeback in 2023 and beyond. Rigo, my prayers, my blessings over you. Yep. That is a very personal thing, and I think more I would love to hear more men talking about experiences to get more, men to really check themselves. And I also want to make a note, it's not just men that need to be checked for prostate cancer. There are women out here that are losing their lives due to not realizing the importance of getting checked, especially as you get older into your 40s and 50s. Yes. So, thank you so much for sharing that personal story, Rigo. Yes. And just another example of when real life hits, what are you going to do?
That's true. We have to deal with, if life throws you lemon, damn it, make lemonade. You got to do what you got to do. Facts. And my prayers are with you as well, Rigoberto, as you go through this and deal with treatment and that type of thing. We're rooting for you.
Yes,
just stay the course, and everything's, they say you do everything you're supposed to do.
And it's in the hands above. That's all you got.
That's what I was going to say. And the good master take care of the rest. Thank you.
Facts. So we got some good mornings in the chat. Jen adds, please also speak more about putting things in place when sick. And this is where Lisa and I can put our estate planning hat on, because much like you have to have plans for yourself individually in terms of organizing your affairs and having a power of attorney and a healthcare designation, having a will, having a trust if you need to, having deeds in place, and your paperwork organized for your business. You also have to think of your business and what happens if you get sick. Right. I'll tell you a short story. There was a gentleman who was a law firm owner. He was basically solo. He had, all things in place. Everything was going on and making the money and all that jazz, and suddenly passes away. And there was nothing in place. Everybody had to scramble, trying to figure out, first of all, where's client information, trying to figure out where the money's at, trying to figure out what's currently happening in court, who are the opposing counsel and judges that need to be reached out to, trying to figure out all those details while at the same time trying to figure out what to do with his personal life.
Wow.
So you can only imagine, if he's married, what the spouse has to deal with. If he's single, what does his parents have to deal with, or his children have to deal with, or extended family members? So it's really critical in many ways for us to organize this. And I'm going to tell you as a personal thing, this is challenging. I have been gradually chipping away at organizing my business information and my personal information into spaces where my family has access to things like passwords and logins. Mm-hmm. And, I have a master database of sorts where if something happens to me, then my family can reach out to one of my trusted attorneys and say, here's Sandy's information. Can you figure out all these things? Mm-hmm. I have a paralegal that at least has a handle over a good batch of my cases. I still need to get more. But, we have to look at our business as a child, as someone or as something that we are caring for, like a pet, or yes. Like in any way, shape, or form where we can find a way to connect this business with, we have to tend to it. So that means our business documents have to be in order, because anything can happen in your business. and anything can happen to you personally. Rigo gave us some personal things that could happen. So imagine you're going through, treatment and things like that, and you still have to run an operation. Well, there are going to be days where you're out of commission. So what happens then? Who covers? Right? Who covers then? So Jen says, yes, that's very true, Lisa. Pen to paper for sure. Jen says to Rigo, prayers for continued great health, because we know that Rigo is going to keep doing the darn thing.
Oh,
Miss
yeah.
Miss Globe Girl, we always appreciate your presence. We would love for you to answer this question. What has been your greatest challenge in 2022? Whether in business, if you're a business owner, or in starting a business, if that's something that you're interested in. And then let's see here. Can you speak about my sickness? I mean, I can. If you open in the door, Miss Jen, I can. So Jen has multiple sclerosis. And one of the interesting things that I've learned about this condition is it's not like many other things. And many of the things that folks with MS suffer with, it's almost like feeling like it's internal and external at the same time. So while my friend Jen always has, she's optimistic and she has, she just does what she has to do, there are times where she's in great deal of pain. And it's like she still has to make it through the days, and still has to support family members, and still has to nurse this, 9 to 5, and still has to try to chip away at her side hustle and try to, find other avenues. So there are a lot of people that on the exterior, you probably would never know, because they're dealing with many things that are internal symptoms. Also things that appear on the external that you wouldn't really notice unless you're really either close to them or have an understanding of the condition. So, I want people to think about those types of conditions as well. Conditions like MS, where, on the exterior, I look at my nephew who's autistic. If you're just looking at my nephew without him having any behavior, you're just going to look at, like average kid. But if he has a behavior is when you're going to be like, oh, wait, what's going on here? Something's not right. Or if you notice that he's not verbal, like he does not speak, but he communicates in other forms, you'll be like, oh, something's different about this kid. But those are things that you don't see that people are really dealing with as real challenges in business.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for sharing that, Jen. I definitely appreciate that. And you're right. There's so many things that we don't realize what people are going through.
Yes. Facts. Doug says to Rigo, thanks for sharing that. You will get through it all. That's been a concern of mine due to family history, and I'm working on prevention measures lately. And that's really all that we can do, both in our health and in our business. I don't know if people ever look at their business and think there are preventative measures that we can take to shield us from certain downfalls in business. But I feel like we have to nurse our personal health and well-being in the same way that we need to nurse what happens with our business and our business aspirations. Those are very, very important things that we sometimes neglect to realize. Miss Globe Girl is adding to our convo. She says, biggest challenge has been family relations and having to let go of those that don't want to grow and progress. I'm no one's savior.
Oh,
now,
boy.
This right here, I think when it comes to entrepreneurship, can sometimes make or break your desire to step out, because there are oftentimes relationships that we have in our family where they are pessimistic, they are questioning of our skills and abilities. They're not supportive by any means. And it's almost like, oh, you really think anybody's going to buy that from you?
And you know what, Sandy? And sometimes they ask questions like, why are you putting your money into that? Don't you know you have family members over here that need help? Why are you starting a business? You have people over here that need diapers, and somebody needs to get taken to the hospital, the doctor tomorrow, and you run over here talking about you trying to get your social media set up. What's going on here?
Yeah, as if they're not responsible for themselves. And I can wholeheartedly relate to this, and I think many times what keeps me focused is recognizing that in this regard, I'm on my own, and I have to put up a bit of a boundary to protect my well-being mentally, to protect my forward progress in business, and not allow these The noise is what I call it. Not allow the noise to distract me. I pretty much put my earbuds in, and I sometimes literally put my earbuds in order for me to push forward on things that I'm working on.
Yes,
And
that's
it's
a good thought. That's a good thought. Just
facts.
tune it. Sorry, guys, tune it out. But you know what? Don't share your plans with anyone who's negative. Don't give your great ideas and let someone take those thoughts and put all their negative energy all over your plans and thoughts. So that's
Yeah.
one thing you don't want to share with anyone who has negative energy because they are vibe killers, and
Yeah.
that you can't let that happen to you in business.
Yeah. And sometimes you really have to kind of think about it from this perspective. When you have innovative ideas, when you have something that you're trying to bring to the forefront that may be different, that may be taking things to another level, that may be just stepping outside of your comfort zone, it's not a comfortable thing for those around you many times. And some people, because they fear the success that may come from you doing whatever it may be, it creates a little clash there. It creates clash.
Like you
Um,
think you're better than someone. What do you mean
yeah,
you're starting a business? Are you trying to outshine everybody?
my,
It's
my
these stupid attitudes out here.
my favorite is this meme where the guy says, "That's you in that little business," and then the person's like, "That's you in that little job." And I'm just like, it's the same vibe. It's like, if you have a job, you have a job. Why does it have to be a little job? If you have a
Right.
business, it's a business. Why does it have to be a little business? Why can't you
Yes.
acknowledge what I'm doing without all that extra side shade? Jen says, and I would say sounds like a personal problem. That's facts. Rigo says, people
Mm-hmm.
try to talk you out of your dream is because they wish it was their dream. So go strong and go forward and get what's yours because no one will give it to you. And
Facts.
and Jen says, unless it's my mom. Yeah, if it's my mom, we just
If you got a sweet mom like Jen's mom, then you're okay. But not everybody has that, Jen.
look. Jen's mom will cut you. She can cut you. She cut both of us sometimes when
Oh,
we on the phone.
oh Lord.
So
So Sandy, we're running out of time.
girl, I can't even laugh. Doug says, Rigo, you're welcome. I've been listening to Dr. Rachel Ross YouTube channel. She shares excellent advice for prostate health. I highly recommend her channel. I got to check that out. Dr.
Thanks,
Rachel
Doug.
Ross. Dr. Rachel
Look
Ross.
at this community forming here, Sandy. This
we
is a
got we
community.
we got some fun times over here. So guys, before we close out, we would be remiss if we did not share some important information with you about a project that we have dropping. Rigo says, I sure will. Thank you for the information, Doug. We have a new project dropping, and this is a result of us actually addressing one of our biggest challenges because Lisa and I, we've gone through some ideas, and we
Oh
we
yeah.
we got some maps laid out, some blueprints laid out, and some of these things just haven't fallen yet.
Yeah.
But we know that with constant effort and support, we will be able to get that underway. So I introduced to you something that will be dropping hopefully this weekend because we're waiting on some approval right now. But we decided to put together something that would assist you in um, really addressing some of the things that are a challenge for us as entrepreneurs. And that is trying to get your ideas pen to paper,
Mm-hmm.
ironing out your information. And so we have just finalized this project, which is the LearnBiz Entrepreneur Journal. It is 365 days of a daily touch. That
Yes.
means each day you are breaking down some bits and pieces that will allow you to attack the daily struggle in business. And it's a journal just geared towards you really ironing out the things that you're learning, building out some things that you can accomplish in very small steps in your business, and giving yourself some kudos, right?
Yes.
Celebrating your accomplishments, but putting them down on paper. So by the time you're done filling in the 365 days of this journal with our guidance, because we're going to be going through the process with you, you will have something to look at that says, I have learned these things, and these are
Right.
things that I can put into my everyday life. Here are the steps that I have taken to build my business, whether it be scaling the business, whether it be starting a new business endeavor, whether it be changing some aspects of your business and allowing certain aspects to grow, and then giving yourself room to say, I appreciate the steps that I've taken, and here are the things that I'm thankful for, that I appreciate, my accomplishments. Um,
Yes.
so stay tuned for that, guys. We're going to be posting more information about it, but just wanted to give you a heads up that this is literally on the verge of coming out. I'm hoping that we can have it posted up by Cyber Monday, but it could be earlier than that. But you look out for this information, because we're going to be posting it, and we'll have some videos here on our channel to kind of guide you through what are some things that you want to put into this journal. And this is something that you could either use at the start of your day, at the end of your day. You can maybe do it at the start and the end if you want to, but just to kind of keep you accountable each and every day. And the goal is literally a daily touch for 365 days.
Sandy, I never even owned a business journal. I've had journals, I've had diaries, but something that focused specifically on the business mode on a daily basis,
Right.
and putting these thoughts on paper like this.
Yep.
I love this little book, and it's not just because LearnBiz created it, but it's so helpful, and I think other people will agree once they get their copies.
And it just focuses on three essential things. We are constantly focused on the things that we learn or can learn, the things that we are doing to grow out the elements of our business. So we're kind of putting building blocks together. And then growth. Without growth, you can't tell me that you have a business. You can't tell me you have a business without growth. So it's an absolute necessity. And I think that this is going to be a great tool that you guys are going to find to be helpful. I like what Doug comments here. My family wasn't as supportive until I gained Michael Vick as a client. Their tune changed after that. Well, you know what? I agree with you, Doug. It's like, until I started to do certain things, and the caliber of my clientele changed a little bit, and I started to have more available funds to do certain things. That's the point that I started to get even any respect, I would say, in business.
That's so sad, but it's so true. I've had my experiences with that as well. When I graduated from law school, Sandy and Doug, it's so interesting that my grandmother, she didn't even believe I was a lawyer.
Girl,
I graduated from law. I said, Grandma, I invited her to the graduation. I said, Grandma, you're invited to the graduation ceremony.
yeah.
But up until that point, I invited her. I said, yeah, I'm going to be a lawyer. That's nice, baby. Mm-hmm.
Girl,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Don't get me started.
She thought I was making it up.
Facts. I mean, it's a lack of appreciation. Jennifer says, yay. And Rigo says, Rigo, I already know you're going to get one. Like, that's not, you're going to be one of the first people filling in this journal. So Jen says, congratulations, ladies. And Rigo says, is it on your show's website to be ordered? So we don't have the approval yet to submit the order link. It's going to be available on Amazon. And we'll probably have some copies in hand as well. We just haven't placed this order yet. And we're hoping to beat the Black Friday rush, because we're not really trying to be battling with the Black Friday folks. But Small Business Saturday and Cyber Monday, Mike can get it. Mike can get it.
Right. And Sandy and I are actually going to write in these journals and share. We've already agreed to that. So we hope you will too.
Absolutely. Jen says, yes, say nothing and let them see. Yeah, oftentimes you don't have to really share certain information, because we know our family. We know our friends. We know, the colleagues that we hang around. We kind of have a gist of their vibe when it comes to us and what they think about us. And sometimes realistically, we do have to just say nothing.
And let them see our works, right?
Let them see the works. And once they see the works, then the work speaks for itself. We don't even have to go any further.
And then at that point, you know who you want to be bothered with, and you know which family members that you will love better from a distance.
Facts. That's always facts. So yeah, guys, we're so very thankful about having this conversation, because, this question, what has been your greatest challenge in 2022, should be the foundation for you to start thinking about, all right, so if this was my challenge this year, what small steps can I take that will in their accumulation become large in our lives? What small steps can we take from now, since we're already here, right? From now until the end of the year? And what small steps can we take from January through December of next year, in order for us to say next year, whatever we had on our list as a challenge this year is not going to carry over as a challenge next year.
Absolutely.
So
Those are very, very, very good points. Sandy, I'm going to share my screen just for a brief second. I just want to show this. We'll talk about it next time.
Gotcha.
And that is, hold on one second. Let's see if we can do this. All right. So guys, there's something out here called an entrepreneur quiz, which I will hope that a lot of you will take it. We'll put the link out there, but it's how many questions is it? It's 28 questions.
I'm going to drop the link in the chat here.
Okay.
And that should be good.
All right, great. Because we will want to talk about this at some point. I've done it. Sandy's working on it. I got some results, but we'll share those on another date. Thank you, Sandy.
All right, guys. So again, we're truly appreciative of the opportunity for us to be able to share, our thoughts about, what's the greatest challenge in 2022. Please stay tuned for LearnBiz Entrepreneur Journal, which is going to be dropping extremely soon. We will be adding some links to this on our social media, and we'll also be doing a couple of videos because we are going to be engaged in this process of journaling through this. And also stay tuned. Lisa and I have been talking about doing a bit of a book club of sorts so that we can cover some business education, some books, maybe some articles and other things that will help us. And the hope is that we can get this going before we close out the year and maybe kick off the new year with something that we can work through. But thank you guys so much for tuning in with us today. If you're listening to the replay, please don't hesitate to add an answer to this question. What has been your greatest challenge in 2022? All right, guys, I hope you have a great week. Looking forward to chatting again with you guys on Friday. We have a special guest on Friday. We'll be dropping that. So click the notification bells. Be sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Click like, click share, but be sure that the notification bell is clicked so that you can know when we have the next video going live.
Yes.
All right, guys, have a great day.
Have a great day.
Bye.